Hey guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another DIY ear tutorial, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this super colorful set of Kevin inspired Mickey ears. So if you want to see how I made them, then just keep watching. So starting out with fabric, I had just this neutral blue fabric on hand, and then I picked up a pack of really colorful feathers and also a separate pack of royal blue feathers because primarily Kevin is blue. Starting out with the largest ear template that I have linked down below for you guys, I'm going to be tracing 4 of these onto this fabric, and then I really did have to iron this fabric because it was so incredibly wrinkled. After tracing 4 of them, I go ahead and cut that out. And then tracing my smallest template, the foam and batting template, onto some cardboard 4 times, I will cut 4 of those out as well. So now I should have 4 cardboard and 4 fabric ears. And the final set is felt. So using the largest template, once more the same one you used on the fabric, trace that 4 times onto a single sheet of felt. I do like to coordinate the color to the fabric just to make sure it doesn't show through in a weird way. And then cut those out as well. So you should have 4 cardboard, 4 fabric, and 4 felt by the end of these steps. Once you have all of those together, we're going to start assembling the base of the ear. So laying the cardboard on top of the felt first, put hot glue at the top of the ear and start folding the felt over into the hot glue and tapping it down. If this is your first time making ears, I always highly encourage people to work small segments at a time. The glue does dry kind of quickly and you don't want to feel like you're rushing while you're working. This little silicone finger cover is a lifesaver. I get these at Dollar Tree and they come in a 3-pack. They are freaking phenomenal. They will save your finger from getting scorched when you touch the glue, and I highly encourage y'all to pick them up if you have a trouble with burning your fingers like I do. After working on the top, I worked my way down the sides, just adding a line of hot glue and folding my fabric over and tapping it down into the hot glue. Next, you're going to take the fabric ears that you cut out and we're going to be attaching those in the exact same manner. You're going to do a line of hot glue, fold your fabric over and tap it down into the hot glue, working in small sections all the way around the ear. I do always save the bottom for last, so if you can see on the bottom, I have not attached the felt yet, and I will do that at the same time as doing the bottom of the fabric. I have just found this to be the best method for me personally. Apparently I didn't record the next step, so I'm showing you the next step with a different set of ears, but it's the same thing. You just apply a generous amount of hot glue to the middle of the ear on the cardboard side, and then take another half that you created and squish them together and hold them together long enough to let that glue fully set and dry. I kind of judge this off of the warmth of the ear. If the ear is totally cooled down, then that means your glue is done drying. Unfortunately, I am also missing the next step, which is attaching the ears to the headband, so I had to pull this from a previous ear tutorial. If you guys want to check out my Infinity Stone DIY Mickey ears, they're on my channel. But to attach the ears, I always use my ear spacing template. I do have this linked down below for you guys, along with the ear templates. They're free, they're just for you guys to make your own ears at home. But using the template, I line the ears up where they are placed well and spaced nicely apart. I apply hot glue to the bottom of the ear and then I firmly press it down on the headband and allow it to fully dry, and then I repeat this step on the other side, attaching the other ear. Now back to Kevin, we're going to start adding these feathers on. So first I pulled out some of the royal blue feathers because, again, Kevin's feather base, if you will, is mostly blue. So I am going to be using these obviously on the front and the back, but I also end up using these blue feathers as a trim, if you will, in between the ears, because if you look at the ears right now, they don't have a very nice finish where the 2 halves were smushed together like a sandwich. So we'll get to that in a second, but starting with that blue, I'm just laying those down, and then I'm going to pull out each of the other colors and just start laying them out how I like them and what I think reflects Kevin's feathers the best. She's the best. Once I have a general idea of how I want the colors to play out, then I just kind of slide them off of the ear and start gluing them down. Now, a lot of these feathers are not the right size for this project, and I do end up going in and trimming them. and that'll be in the video in a little bit. So don't stress out or worry too much if they seem too long, because you can always trim them. But I'm just gluing in one feather at a time and just kind of layering them to look nice, like they're all kind of growing out of the same place, I guess. This is what it looks like before I go in and trim it up, just to regain my kind of Mickey shape. But I was very aware of the gap between the two sets of feathers, so I went ahead and glued on all of the back portion of the feathers, and I didn't like the gap that was in between, so I first played with this purple feather boa trim that I have on hand, and I did like the fluffiness of it, but I didn't like that it was purple. So instead of that, I am just using more of these blue feathers, and I'm just going to put a line of hot glue where you would normally place a trim on a normal set of Mickey ears, and then I'm just tapping down that feather into the trim, and it really does just kind of disappear into the design of the feathers. So you're going to repeat this all the way along the ear, just adding thin lines of hot glue and then tapping the feather down into the glue. And then after looking at it again, I didn't like how some of the colors had been overlapped by the blue so much. So I'm just going in and adding little extra pieces of feathers to brighten up the other colors. And this is where we're at on the ears. So for the second ear, I decided to go ahead and do that blue trim feather first. I thought that it might be a little bit easier before all of the other feathers are attached. Plus, I thought it gave you guys a much better view of what I'm doing. So just adding hot glue and then tapping down that feather into kind of like the crack of the two sides of the ear. Again, that little silicone finger cover coming in handy. And then after I do the trim, I am going to just go ahead. So next we're going to start on the bow, and I am doing an orange bow to replicate Kevin's beak color. So starting out with a felt fabric, I'm going to be using this to insert into the satin fabric that we'll be using because it's going to give it a nice stiffness. You definitely could just do a felt bow, but because I was sending this to somebody else, I kind of felt like going the extra mile. So I have this orange satin fabric, and I'm going to be using both of these to create the bow. The felt shape is 5 inches by 3 inches, in case you guys were looking for measurements. And then I also am cutting this satin fabric and then burning the edges with a lighter. Please be very careful if you're going to do that. It is too, what's it called? It like stops the fabric from fraying. It seals it. That's the word I was looking for. It seals the edges of your fabric. And I did that before gluing it down because it stops it from fraying. So as you can see here, I haven't even cut my silk fabric yet because I'm kind of just eyeballing it. But I did glue down one side, and then I'm going to glue down the next side. I use hot glue to hem the fabric because I didn't want to pull out my sewing machine. And just using a couple dots of hot glue, I'm just folding over the edge of the fabric to create a false hemline. Then I'm going to glue this down over that felt. And again, the reason that there's felt inside the bow is because it keeps your bow structured and it stops it from becoming like floppy or not looking like it's well made on the headband. Again, using that faux hem trick, I'm going to use hot glue to fold over the sides of my bow and tap that down into the glue so that we don't have any fraying or raw edges on the bow. And next we're going to fold over the satin fabric once more and glue that down. And then make sure you have time for your glue to kind of set and dry. You don't want to immediately try to accordion fold it because the glue can let go and then cause some problems. But now that my glue is all cooled off, I am going to just pop in little dots of glue anywhere where I feel like it needs it. This is very much like an eyeballing thing, just looking at it and seeing where it needs more glue. I do have other ways of making bows, by the way. I have a video of like 7 different bow tutorials if you guys are interested. And then I go ahead and pinch the bow in the middle and do what's called an accordion fold to give it that really nice bow shape. And I decided to use a yellow ribbon that I had on hand to cinch the bow. So adding just a dot of hot glue into those folds, I'm pressing it down to try to hold its shape while I wrap this yellow ribbon around the center, using hot glue to secure it. I do wrap it around a few times. You don't have to do that. I kind of just use my best judgment if I feel like it needs to be wrapped around a couple of times. And then I snip off the excess and glue down the edge. I did feel like this bow was missing something, so I pulled out some yellow pom-pom trim that I had on hand, and I decided to add that to the edges of my bow just to give it another texture. I also liked that it gave the sides of my bow a more finished look. So I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue and then tapping down that trim onto the top of the bow, and I am going to fold it and do the same thing on the back and kind of close it up around the sides of my bow. And then obviously I will repeat that on the other side. After the bow is all complete, we're going to go ahead and attach that to the center of the headband. So adding just some hot glue to the center, I'm just going to firmly press it down. And then I do have these little clips I got from Dollar Tree, and I love them to clip the bow down and just really allow that glue to fully set and dry. After just a minute or two, I go ahead and take that clip off, and then I decided to add, I don't know what to call them, but Kevin has these little feathers that stick straight out of her head, and they have like upside down teardrop shapes on them. So I really wanted to replicate those at the center of the bow. So taking some blue pipe cleaners, I'm just cutting them to a length that looks correct to me. I want to say it was around 3 to 4 inches, and I'm doing 3 of them. Kevin has like a bunch of them, but I only wanted to do 3. And then I'm just kind of twisting the centers around each other so that it works like one piece. And then I will be using thin craft foam and some little jewels that I have to create those little upside down teardrops. So first I'm creating a template because I wanted to make sure that all of them are the same. And folding my paper in half, I just drew half of a teardrop, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out and unfold it, and now I have a little template to use. And then I will trace that onto the blue first because I wanted the blue to be the bottom layer, so I wanted it to be a little bit larger. And then after tracing those, I will go ahead and cut them out. And the next layer will be the purple craft foam. So I'm taking that same template, but I'm just going to shave off a little bit of it to make the purple layer smaller to make sure that the blue gets to poke through. So I will then repeat the steps. I'll trace 3 of them and go ahead and cut those out as well. The next step is to glue this all together. So doing just a dot of hot glue, I'm going to put the purple on top of the blue craft foam, and then taking these little teardrop blue jewels that I have on hand, I am going to glue that on top of the purple craft foam and have the little accent pieces that I want. Then I'm going to glue these on to the pipe cleaners, and after I have those all attached, I will attach it to the bow. I wasn't sure if the person I sent these to was going to like this detail, so I did decide to make it removable just in case. And I just strung another pipe cleaner through the 3 little strands that I created, and I'm just wrapping it around it by going through the center of the bow. So it's really just attached by looping it through that yellow center of the bow, and I just kind of bent it around until I thought it looked good. But if she doesn't like it, she is easily able to detach it. So next I decided to trim up the feathers. I just didn't like how I was losing the shape of the Mickey ear being so rounded, but some people might like them a little bit more fluffed out, so it's definitely your choice when you're making your set of ears. But using these really fine scissors, I just went in and trimmed up the feathers to kind of keep that authentic Mickey ear shape. And that is the final step in making these Kevin-inspired Mickey ears. I hope you guys really liked this tutorial. If you did and you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps push my channel out to even more people and help me keep creating content for you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!